So let's start with a chapter on linear inequations in one variable. A quick reminder, something of this format like x is equal to 7 is called as an equation because if you notice there's an equal to sign over here in the middle. But something like this, like x is greater than 7 or greater than or equal to 7, or x is less than 7 or less than or equal to 7. These are what we call as inequations because you can see these are inequality symbols in the middle. Let's just go through certain rules to solve sums based on inequations. A lot of them are rather intuitive and what you've also studied in your previous classes, so it should be quite simple. The first one is on transferring a positive term from one side of an inequation to its other side, the sign of the terms becomes negative. Rather simple. So for example, if I have x plus 3 greater than 7, I'm transferring this plus 3 from one side to the other, and the rule tells us that it becomes negative. So x would be greater than 7 minus 3, right? So we take a plus 3 from one side, take it to the other side, it becomes minus. We already knew that. Second law is the same thing, we are just taking a negative term now from one side to the other, so it becomes positive. For example, if I have x minus 3 greater than 7, and if I'm taking this minus 3 from one side to the other, I can say that x is greater than 7 plus 3, right? Take a negative term, take a negative term from one side to the other, and it becomes positive, right? Moving on. If each term of an inequation be multiplied or divided by the same positive number, the sign of the inequality remains the same, right? So what it is basically, if I have x upon 3 is greater than 7, so what I'm doing is I'm multiplying each term of the inequation by the same positive number. So suppose if it is 3 into x upon 3 will be greater than 7 into 3. What I've done is I've multiplied both the sides of the inequation by the same number 3. So you can see the inequation sign remains unchanged because I multiplied both the sides by a positive number, the same positive number. Next one is, if each term of an inequation be multiplied or divided by the same negative number, the sign of inequality reverses. Right. Now, this is a rule or a point where a lot of you make mistakes as far as I've noticed. So suppose if I have something like minus 3x is greater than 9, right? Now, suppose if I divide both the sides by minus 3. So I have minus 3x upon minus 3 on one side of the equation, and I have 9 upon minus 3 on the other side. So I've divided both the sides, or rather I've divided each term of the inequation by a negative number. So the inequality sign must reverse, right? It was opening to the left hand side, and on dividing by negative numbers, now it is opening towards the right hand side. Okay, so the next law or rule, if each term on both the sides of an equation is changed, the sign of each term on both the sides of the equation is changed, the sign of the inequality gets reversed. What that basically means is, if I have something like x, or rather minus x, suppose if I have something like minus x is greater than 5, right? Then on the other side, now what I'm doing is I'm changing the sign of each term on both the sides of the equation. So minus x will become plus x and 5 will become minus 5. Now since I've changed the sign of each term on both the sides of the equation, the inequality sign gets reversed. Opening to the left, now it's opening to the right. It's similar to the previous law that we just saw. We basically divided both the sides by minus 1 or multiplied both the sides by minus 1, and hence the inequation sign has changed. Right. The last law, if both the sides of an inequation are positive or are negative, then on taking their reciprocals, the signs of the inequality is reversed. So for example, if I have x greater than y, right, and now if I'm considering their reciprocals, so 1 upon x and 1 upon y. Now I know x is greater than y, so 1 upon x will be less than 1 upon y, right, because taking their reciprocals, the sign of the inequality is reversed. So these are some of the laws that we're going to use to solve our sums, which we'll see in the future videos. I'm guessing all of these is just a quick this is a recap of what you've done in your previous classes, so it should be relatively easier. See you guys in the next video.